Hey AfterBuzzers, welcome to an all-new Orphan Black after show here at AfterBuzz TV. Tonight we're going to be breaking down Season 5, Episode 8, titled Guillotines Decide. This one was a very sad and amazing episode. We can't wait to talk about it with you, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello again, ABTV Clone Club. Thank you so much for tuning in to our Orphan Black after show here at AfterBuzz TV.
We got lights. We got lights.
I'm your host, Sam Davidson. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at SamD43. And I am here with these amazing panelists. Please introduce yourself. Let us know where we can find you on social media.
Hey guys, I'm Rick Hong. You can find me on all social media at Rick Hong, R-I-C-K-H-O-N-G.
Hey everybody, I'm Matt Marr. You can find me at the Matt Marr on all the social thingies.
I'm Amy Maestri, and you can find me at Amy Maestri.
And of course, guys, don't forget to follow AfterBuzz TV at AfterBuzz TV on all social media platforms. We love it when you use the hashtag ABTV Orphan Black. We love hearing your thoughts and comments.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, on everything. Yeah, rate, review, subscribe, which is a lot of fun.
$5.
And we only have 2 more left after this.
No. I don't want it.
I don't want it either. I can't believe it. We're tying things up. Did you guys think that this was a good and appropriate third to last episode of the entire series?
For me, it was a little up and down. The tone of it was really weird because obviously there's some sadness, a lot of sadness. I should say some, but a lot of sadness.
Yeah, spoiler alerts for this entire episode, everybody. If you haven't watched the show, leave us and come back.
I think just in general, you know, if you haven't watched it, don't watch.
Don't watch this.
Good advice.
But the tone was just really weird. At times it went dark, and then it went happy, dark, and happy. And that is the show overall, but I don't think I've seen so much like in one episode. So like for me, it was a little bit of just the consistency part of it for me was like a little off.
I feel that.
I thought it felt like a last episode. Almost like it had that feel to me. I kept thinking like, wait a minute, are we almost done? Or like, did the producers did the network air the wrong episode? Because it had the, with like, as we're going to talk about later, but just with the gathering kind of almost all the clones. And there was a lot of callbacks to the beginning of season 1 and like relationships and tying up, and so, which I understand now, a lot of that was because I think of Mrs. S, but still it felt like a first episode to me, or a last episode.
What did you think, Amy?
Yeah, I think kind of to Rick's point about like the kind of the different tone that it would take at different times, there was something about it for me that made it so like I watched this entire episode just like like
so you were you were the opposite of me. You were invested because of that.
Yeah,
I was.
I think that the way that they did it really just made you say like you knew so many things were going to be happening in this episode, and you kind of knew what they were, but in your heart,
yeah.
Well,
like,
I mean, I don't want it to.
right where she got it. Sorry, too soon. But I mean, I really felt that anytime anybody's happy and there's a celebration of sorts in these kind of shows, I'm like, oh God, they're all gonna die. Like, don't get them all in the same place at the same time. So I'm glad that because last week my prediction was, you know, they're gonna bomb the thing and a bunch of clones are gonna die.
Oh yeah, the art gallery, right?
Yeah, but that didn't happen, which I'm very grateful about. Also grateful we got Helena back. We are bringing her storyline more to the forefront.
Yes.
Which I said before, it's my biggest grievance of the season is that we really haven't gotten as much of her this season.
Yeah.
These scenes were really interesting with Gracie. We still see that Helena has this good heart. That she might kill you, but she also might hug you. You know, you just never know what's going to happen.
And I mean, over the course of this series of the 5 seasons, like she's really evolved. You know, she went from being a bad person to and then just growing a heart, and you cheer for her. Like I mean, you know, you guys know from me sitting on this panel that she's like my favorite character of the sisters. So,
well, I think it made sense with Helena when she's with Gracie, and Gracie, you know, she's like wanting her to touch her stomach and feel the babies.
That's good, dude. I like that.
But the babies. But that's if every time we say babies, drink, everybody.
Yes.
Please. But no, what has changed Helena, I think, is the family that she now has, because she never had really, because she was with Cody, that never felt like a family, and a mother, and with Sarah, and so that's what was so heartbreaking when Helena does find out that Gracie kind of, even though she didn't report it, but she still called and kind of, you know, rooted her out, that you know, she was considering Gracie family, because
Yeah,
she's related to the babies inside Helena.
So let's do
Right?
a little bit of a recap, like a flashback that we'll talk about that you never did, you know, of how Gracie is related to these babies. So,
Take a drink.
okay.
I know there is some explaining of this. I know
weird
even I'm
family
like, even
tree
I was
going
like,
on.
who is this character? What's going on? I'm like, oh, but I'll let you explain it.
I think I'll let Matt explain
Well,
it.
no, I think test me, and if I'm wrong, tell me I'm a dumbass.
Yeah, guys, we got the chat open
Yes.
too,
Yeah,
so please, by
just
all means, chime in.
Shade the hell out of me. Okay, so I think Gracie's father, who was crazy like
Yes.
cult guy, country guy, who was it's his sperm that's in Helena. So and that is, but I couldn't remember if that was Gracie's father, right? Or was that
they
Gracie's?
mentioned I thought it was Gracie's
Because wasn't he
father.
also like having sex with his daughters?
There was some
Like
incest going
so
on.
I couldn't remember if she was
Yeah.
his wife or daughter.
Well, because she was the daughter, but he also put his sperm in her.
Okay.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
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 Disgusting.
Exactly.
That is what happened.
Why season 3, one of the reasons I was like, nope, not going to rewatch that one.
I'm just-
The
That's
storyline
some
for me.
Oklahoma stuff
yeah,
right there.
it's,
I'm from Oklahoma. I can say that.
Are you really?
I am from
Dude,
Oklahoma.
I'm from Nebraska.
Oh,
Interesting.
What do you know? What do you know, guys?
Okay.
But at the end of the day, those things from season 3 are important, and I appreciate them tying up any
Yes.
possible loose ends, and, you know, this was one of them. Gracie came there with bad intentions, and that's what really broke Helena's heart, that she, you know, but yeah, she changed her mind. Cool. She told her Mark was dead. Mark is not dead.
Mark is not dead.
And, you know, it really pained her because she does want to save Mark, and it basically turning Helena in would do that. But then things go awry, and Art's partner, God, what's her name again? I always blank on her name because I hate her. I just hate her.
Yeah, we don't
so
need
much.
to know
Yeah.
her name. She's just that one.
Yeah, right.
You know, Gracie and Helena kind of have come together, and we're gonna get out of here. We are on the same page now, and Helena shows so much humanity, like, in that moment, which I really loved. And like you said, we've seen her evolve so much, and that was huge to me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's so many themes that are so strong in this show that I think in that scene, like, really came through. Like, to your point of, like, they're all trying to find a family within certain areas. Like, last week, I know we were talking about Rachel, like, always, like, searching for dad and having daddy issues. Like, and now Helena, the same thing. And it just broke my heart when they made that eye contact at the end. And you just see Helena looking at her like she knows what's about to happen. And then...
Yeah. Well, I was very nervous because I had accidentally read some spoilers before I watched the episode. I mean, social media. And I did, you know, we'll get to Mrs. S in a little bit. I had found out about that, but for some...
Oh, that sucks.
Sorry.
No, I'm saying for you, that sucks. That you.
But in a way, sometimes with big deaths, I do like to be prepared because I get very emotional about it. So I want to know beforehand if they're really going to do something that's going to upset me.
I knew it was happening. When
Yeah,
her
you predicted it.
When I did predict it. It's actually a long time, and I just read.
I did too. I think I was like, by the end of the season, she's going to
Yeah, and the
sacrifice herself.
showrunner I just read today, he said it was a natural progression. We'll talk about it later.
He was like Matt Marr.
He was like
predicted.
Matt Marr, but I do want to say I knew that was going to
Right.
happen because her lipstick was amazing. I was like, if your lipstick looks that good, Mrs. S, and you normally kind of aren't that, it's your time.
Oh yeah, she looked
was
real
ready.
good.
You know, but yes,
Yeah.
back to Helena. Yes, that you're so man. Tatiana is such a good actress because her face when she saw Gracie, and it was like she probably were, you know, as I'm just sitting here talking about it, probably Helena could understand how Gracie felt because that's what the situation Helena was in.
Yeah.
Where she
Yeah.
was reporting to Cody and to her, and then having to betray her like old family for like a newer family. And it goes back to, I think, for Helena, and they talk about this in the episode, which is kind of a theme that I loved, is that they really are celebrating sisterhood. I felt like a lot in this episode, which I
Oh,
love.
yeah.
And
Hell
I mean, they
yeah.
always do, but I think they like literally were at the art gallery celebrating it. And I think that it was just even more heartbreaking to see Helena's face.
Yeah. And I was nervous it was going to be Helena too. That they were maybe
No,
going to have
would have
man,
lost
you
my
can't know.
shit.
She's got like a cat. She's got like
She hasn't
9
died.
lives.
I do think a clone is going to die.
Yeah, another one.
I do think
Another one?
Yeah, I do
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it- And I think it's going to either be probably Sarah.
Well,
or
let's
Helena.
save it for predictions.
So,
Okay, yeah.
speaking of Sarah,
There's so much in my head.
speaking of Sarah, before we get into the art opening and all that happens, I just thought there were a couple kind of cute and semi-important scenes regarding Sarah's storyline, one of which was Charlotte and Kira meeting for the first time.
I love that.
I thought it was so
weird.
cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It's weird. It's like, oh yeah, you're like my mom, but my age. And
Yeah, Kira's like, whoa.
Yeah, and she's just like, I don't think about it anymore.
Yeah.
Which you don't think about. I forgot with Charlotte being one of them until when they did the flashback this year of Rachel and Charlotte, the actors played her. Then I went,
Oh, right.
yeah. And then I went, that has to be so weird for them looking at their younger self. And they really haven't, like, you never hear the perspective of, like, I was kind of surprised they didn't do this episode of just, like, Mrs. S kind of having a moment of, like, looking at her and, you know, remembering. They've never done that with any of the characters. So when Kira was like, oh, yeah, you look like my mom. And I was like, oh, I'm glad somebody, like, acknowledged that. I hit the mic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're also, well, first of all, Art is back on our team. He is full force. It's not that he ever
He never
exactly
left.
Yeah.
but he had to leave.
He was just with Uber Bitch, whatever her name was.
But that's what, we've talked about this. That's what they've done this season. Is that in order to kind of push the storyline forward, they kind of have to just miraculously be like, go take a vacation, go take,
Yeah, they
go
did that
take a
with
sabbatical.
Felix and Delphine.
Yeah, everybody's
Yes.
just kind of, and then all of a sudden
And-
they just pop back in out of nowhere. So
Yeah, and I mean like Adele too. So
Yeah.
what did you guys think of Adele's return? Because okay, so last season when we met her, I was very suspicious.
Me too. Me too.
But you know, we learned. I think we're confident now that we don't need to really
No,
worry.
I think she's legit.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
it definitely took a while though, because I mean, like, obviously Sarah's always gonna be like over the top paranoid, but like as she was just being a total bitch to her last season, you're just like, well, yeah, because like she kind of has to. Like she's in the like if you're not paranoid in that world, like you're probably not gonna make it. Very
Yeah, I
far.
agree. Yeah, I like that. You've got to be paranoid. I mean, plus that world makes you paranoid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would
like
be
being in the White
duped
House.
so fast all the time. I would be like, oh, she seems so nice. Dead.
She
Yeah.
offered me a martini. I love her.
Yeah, I really like her. I didn't even think if it was drugged.
But I guess they kind of did that too, because remember we thought that because she remember she told us in this season, the beginning, she was money laundering, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like because she didn't tell us that, because it was, you did get a feeling. I felt like they played it like
She had a
that she was
secret.
hiding
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So they kind of cleared that up. Mm-hmm. She better not be evil. If she turns out evil, I'm gonna be pissed.
Well, I also think she's starting to catch on to what is going on a little bit.
Oh, she doesn't know about the clones?
She doesn't, right?
I think she was let in. Or was it earlier this season or at the end of last season?
I thought she does.
Yeah,
I thought she didn't.
Hey,
they
chat,
didn't make
you guys,
a-
you tell us.
Chat will tell us. Chat will
Yeah,
tell us.
I feel like they didn't make a big deal out of it though, which is why I'm having trouble remembering it. But I feel like he brought her in and she was just like, yeah, clones, whatever. Like she was very much like,
Oh.
Well, because the conversation her and Sarah had, you know, she said something like, I have a lot of questions. You know, you have all these sisters. And it didn't seem like she was 100% in the know, but she essentially said, you know, I know something shady's going on and I've still helped you.
Because she was going to find out where the money was. I don't know.
Yeah. You know, there's a lot about money this episode. You know, there's a lot of confusing stuff, which we'll get into in a little bit. But yeah, especially about laundering money and where that all is going. So
Yeah.
Adele really did, I think, play a very pivotal part in the series. And I'm grateful for her.
I do wish, I kind of thought they, I get it, they don't have time. I thought that we were going to see a little bit of like Adele and Felix like doing undercover in Switzerland, like kind of like, you know, Felix James Bond or what?
Yeah.
Like something kind of humorous with them.
Right, sure,
I thought we were going to
sure,
get some of that. So when they came back, I was like, oh, I would have, like, that would have been funny with those two and Delphine. Like, that's a spin-off.
Oh yeah, no, hey, I actually like the idea. Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
Well, let's move into, we'll just talk about Felix's art opening in its entirety. First of all, how can I get one? I want a picture.
Oh, those are really cool.
I'm not kidding. I would hang it up in my apartment. I would hang it over my bed. I would take any of them.
But the
Didn't you
Helena
think
one
that
just
art
right
was
over your
so
bed.
cool?
It was really cool.
It was really
It was
good.
very cool, yeah.
It was awesome, and I loved the clone switch-aroo. And that was part of the exhibition. Essentially,
Yep.
was like my sister's schizophrenic, basically.
Yeah, that's what
It was fun. That part, and that's what I'm saying. The tone was so weird because that was so fun. And then you have your dark scenes where it's like, okay, we're leading down a dark path, but then here's like this really cool, fun, directed scene, and inventive, like new, fresh, inventive way to sit there and say like, hey, and here's so and so, and
Yeah.
here's so and so.
And I love it when Allison pretends to be Sarah.
Oh yeah.
It's
God,
just
it's
even that
every
little bit. She's
time.
like, oh, where? And like, it's so funny.
She just immediately goes to like the oi.
Yeah, yeah.
So fast.
And she like shuffles a little bit and then sticks her hand out, you know, like that.
No, this is great. Jay Becker says, Sestra of the Traveling Clones.
Oh,
Yeah, there we go. That's good.
Yes.
Well, I also really loved that they were each goddesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, this went back to they were celebrating this, and even like Kira had on a shirt. I forgot it said something kind of like empowering, and then another one of the clones had a shirt. Like there was all these. I saw these subliminal things all about kind of like feminism and just like and supporting strong women.
Yeah.
Which is
Oh God, I'm gonna cry so hard throughout the entire last episode. Like I'm gonna be on the ground.
It's gonna be intense.
It's just it's gonna be a
Are you gonna
lot.
cry?
Yeah, are you
Am I
gonna cry,
cry?
Rick? No. Rick's just, I can just kind of see him like maybe just standing up. Like maybe he's sitting down, then he stands up and he just like puts his hands on his hips and is looking at it and just kind of like taking it all in.
I'll be like tapping the monitor, like, what's going on here? What's going on here? Smack it like it's an old TV. What's going on?
Well, I think the art show in itself was one of the reasons why this felt so final. It
Yes,
felt
yes.
like a
Yeah.
beautiful goodbye. to
Yeah,
all
because
the
they show.
clones.
I did get a little teary actually when Art and Sarah, when he was like, "Hey," and they looked up and there was a picture of Beth.
Oh God.
That to me was so.
That's the one you want. Like that's the one you
Yeah.
want, like in your house.
That
is like
is the
that
one I
painting.
want.
Yeah.
That is the one I want.
I really liked Casima's.
Actually, I just want a naked picture of Paul. I'll put that up.
Me too.
Take that.
Which, by the way, someone tweeted us, by the way, that Dylan Bruce is on a new show. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Is
Well,
it the
okay.
Midnight?
Yeah, Midnight Texas,
Oh, Midnight
which I want to
Texas.
watch
Oh,
anyway.
So
okay.
good. It looks so
I tried to
good.
get into the panel Comic Con to see it, and I couldn't get in because it was crowded. But it does look good.
No, it's online though.
I think it premiered yesterday.
Yeah, it's on the NBC app. I mean, we're,
Anyway.
Yeah, it's on
we're,
Hulu.
we're talking about Orphan Black, but we'll promote that
Dylan
one too.
Bruce,
Yeah,
come on,
that's-
you gotta be naked.
God,
Good
any-
excuse to talk about.
But yes, the whole thing with that painting though, it was just again, you're right. It's the art gallery that made it seem like a final.
Yeah, there's a lot of finality to it, and then also just the fact that like doing like the clone swap, very similar to like a lot of season finales where they would do the dinner together or the dance
Oh,
party
right.
together.
yes.
Like it was very much the show is so freaking good at callbacks and always having these
Yes.
themes just weave in and out. They're
Yeah.
so good at it.
And speaking of, the guy, the coroner. God, what's his name? I'm blanking on what his name was, but well, first of all, we got a shout out to how long it's really been. I think they said 3 months. Did I hear that incorrectly? Because I thought that him and Felix were talking about when they met, and I remember 3 months being thrown out there in this episode. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, it couldn't have been 3 months, right?
No. I think when we had Josh on the show, he said. I think he said like, I don't remember what he said. I think he said though like 8 months or a year or something like that.
So, and also this is another guy that is kind of going, what the heck at this point? And he, I loved it when he, Allison that he met. And he goes, yes, I remember seeing your dead body. Or I don't remember if it was Sarah or Allison.
it was Allison being Sarah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exactly, okay. Yeah.
And you can keep it straight in your mind. No, wait, what's going on?
Yes.
Who's who?
I
What's what?
totally forgot that was a corner until you just said it. I was like, I remember seeing that guy, but I don't remember him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I even just watched the first episode like before we started the season, but still. So, because he hasn't been on since then, or like first season, right?
I feel like I don't know if it's been since first season. I know that throughout the first season we would see him pop in and out.
Yeah.
But do you think they were serious when Felix was talking to Mrs. S and introduced him and said, oh, he's going to be coming over to ask for my hand in marriage, essentially? I'm like, did I miss something?
I think it was a bit
joke?
foreshadowing too of that like she's not gonna be around to do that.
I did
So
too,
I
yeah.
think it was just like a sweet
That's
moment.
good. That's
Where
good.
Felix is like,
Wow.
yeah, I know, right here,
Wow.
Yeah.
right in the
Right
heartstrings.
Well, the
Also,
entire...
though, Felix is like guys that I've dated before that try to like F with you a little bit.
Sure.
To, like, make
Yeah.
you
No,
crack
it
your
looked
thing.
very
Yeah.
much like that.
That is
Yes.
Felix
Yes.
on a date. Like, I'm going to we're going to shag ever and be married. That's the worst English accent
It's
ever.
worse than Allison.
That was worse than, it's always like, I'm like Oliver from like in Community Theater, like, more please. Like, it's bad. It's really bad.
Well, also what was final was when they brought Mrs. S up to kind of, you know, commemorate her, and she's not even
That's
dead
when
yet.
I knew.
Oh.
That's when the red lipstick, and with that I was like, peace out.
Oh,
Peace
crap.
out, Siobhan.
I think I was just in denial this whole episode. I was thinking, no, you know, she can't, because she's just been so pivotal to like
Yeah.
helping them get through their journey
Yes.
of all the seasons. Like without her, they'd be all completely dead.
But
Oh, yeah.
that's the point now, is that, and again, that's what the showrunner said, is that this was all about, they've been building this whole season, like I predicted, that, sorry, I had to pat myself on the back, I'm a jerk, but that Sarah is moving into like the new Mrs. S position. Like,
Yeah,
she's
you said you
becoming
did. You
that.
did say that.
I
And
think
exactly
I
the
said
showrunner-
it too, actually.
Yeah,
You probably said it before I
did.
saw it on the panel.
Yeah.
Like,
you,
but
probably
I
said
remember.
it, you probably actually said it before me, and now I'm stealing it.
It's okay, I forgive you.
I'm going to steal your prediction,
Yeah,
and I'm going to
so-
double it down.
Because think about it, like now that they're going to be like, I'm imagining rescuing Helena or whatever. It's like I was thinking about this when I was getting ready to come here. I was like, oh shit, they're going to have to do this without Mrs. S. Which everything like big they've done, she has been like the one who like kind of saves the day.
Exactly.
In a lot of ways.
But we have seen that foreshadowing of like Sarah kind of stepping in and learning, taking some lessons from.
Yeah, but now it's just going to
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Well, I'm interested to see too what Siobhan wrote.
Yes.
It's like some sort of like,
forgot.
Yeah, so that brings us into Rachel and the Mrs. S, the entire situation. So, great opening of the episode. We see more eye stuff.
Love that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
yeah.
And you guys, I was telling all of you before the show started how hungover I was today, and I'm sitting there watching it, and I was like, oh my god. I mean, I almost threw up. I almost threw
Wow,
up.
I'm glad you didn't. Well, I wouldn't have been there, but
Yeah, I was like, I can't. I just got a new roommate. She's in the other room. She's probably like, what's happening?
so when the elevator opened and when you knew somebody was walking in, did y'all? I knew it was gonna be Ferdinand. Did y'all, or no?
I was like looking for another clone.
Yeah. I was worried it was gonna be PT. Well, not PT, but
Oh.
Oh yeah, he disappeared.
John.
See, that's what they keep
Yeah.
doing. It's like a guy disappears for himself and brings
where'd
him
you go,
back.
John?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't see PT at all this episode.
Yeah.
But they spent a lot of time on him in the last couple episodes, so it does make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they-
I have a feeling Helene is probably gonna go back to the island. I feel like this is gonna end on the island.
Oh yeah. Oh god. And she's just gonna slaughter him so hard. Sorry.
don't
that
watch
was,
that one hungover.
Yeah,
either.
don't watch
That's
that
not
one
gonna be a
hungover.
good
That was intense. But yes, Rachel. He essentially saved Rachel.
Yes.
Because Mrs. S told him about it. I'm not sure how Mrs. S knew because it's after that Rachel gave Kira to them is when she took her eye out. So when they saw her, she still had two eyes.
I think she's been playing the long game with Ferdinand, or she was, because when you think about it, she still. Sarah keeps asking us she's like, "Who's your source? Who's your source?" And she never tells her. And so I think they just kind of let us assume that her source has always been Delphine. But I think now we see that that's the thing with Mrs. S. It's not just one kind of web she has. I think it's been a long game with Ferdinand, and I think she's been in contact with him probably for most of the season. Or at least half.
Ever since
Yeah.
you mean Rachel banned him and let him go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of those kinds of things that come out in the last two episodes, especially now, after she's gone, finding out what she really has been doing. And even when she said to Sarah, too, when she was like, how can you work with, the guy who killed one of my sisters? And she's like, I knew you wouldn't have the stomach for it, because that's always her thing. She's always doing what, no one else wants to do and crossing those lines. So I think we're going to find out a lot more about that.
Yeah, I mean, Delphine even felt so terrible doing that, being there, with the person that killed MK. And I'm glad they brought it up because it was a sad and awful death, but we haven't talked about it at all since it happened.
Yeah.
It just kind of went and...
We didn't have enough time. I know, I was still wondering where Crystal was. I'm ready for some more Crystal.
Oh, I'm always ready for more Crystal.
I hope that wasn't the last we see of her. I really...
know.
I dearly, dearly hope not. But... So this is where the complicated stuff kind of comes in. And chat, help us out at all. Mrs. S comes to Rachel and Ferdinand and gives them a drive gives Rachel this drive with essentially all of the information.
All the things from Switzerland, yeah.
Yes, that they need to tell the world that about Neolution. I still, in my heart of hearts, don't understand why that was what they needed. Couldn't they just be like, yo, They are cloning people, and they're trying to do it again. And I guess I understand because it sounds crazy, but they have the actual clones available to speak and testify. So I don't exactly understand what it was on that thumb drive besides financial stuff that is what's really going to get them in trouble.
I think they just needed it kind of like on paper and solidified a little bit more because they've been fighting it for so long. I think it's one of those things where it's just like they felt like they needed that smoking gun before that they could go public.
And even if you have the clones and you bring them forth to testify or do all these things, I mean, there's plenty of John and Kate +8. I mean, there's like they can always sit there and say like, oh yeah, well they were born in a covenant, or they were born in a not a covenant, but in some
like embryo.
Yeah,
and like they all just grew up in different houses. Like they could make up that lie, but to have the actual like the legal work, the paperwork to say no, they're cloning people. These weren't girls of like one mother with like 7 kids that happen to just grow up in different places.
Yeah,
and like what they're planning to do too.
I think it was a little bit of a MacGuffin. In that, right? Isn't that the term that they use? Like, not
where you're chasing
MacGuffin?
something. MacGuffin is where you chase something, where the thing's not really important to the story.
like a red herring.
Yeah,
Yes.
a little bit. Yes.
And so maybe I'm using the word wrong, but I do think that it was like I think they could have thought of a cooler, a little bit more interesting, actually way to bring Neolution down.
I agree with you on that one. It felt a little weak.
But at the same time, I get it in that like. You know, it's about following the money trail and following, you know, that's what a lot of people are doing, like with like Russia and the United States, is they're following like when people got paid for speeches to speak for, it's always in the money trail, and within that is usually kind of where you find some underhandedness.
I mean, I always thought, though, in my heart of hearts, that the government might have something to do with this. Like, do you really think that they don't know, the government? And I've always been so scared. They're going to get everything they need. They're going to go to the government, and they're going to be like, oh, how awful. We'll take care of it.
I don't think
Just kidding.
This is Canada.
I mean,
It's too nice.
here's the thing, man. The
Canadians
government
would
doesn't
do
even
that.
know what Donald Trump is going to do.
Well, this
so,
is Canada.
yeah.
The Canadians are too nice. They wouldn't do this. They're not cloning.
Yeah, you can knock on a door in
and
Canada and just walk right in because they don't lock their door.
yeah, exactly. Let me
Maybe,
stereotype them.
that's something they should start changing, and we'll get into that with the Mrs. S stuff in a little bit. But I want to talk about Rachel and Ferdinand kind of and her plan with him. So she's manipulating him the whole time, but was there a moment of honesty when she said, let's run away together?
No, that's what she wanted, I think.
She's over it.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, but
she's
okay.
over it.
I got excited.
So there was a moment where it was like she had 2 options, one of which was to manipulate him and not give him the information, which she knew. I think she knew at the end of the day this is what he was going to do, though. I think she knew he wasn't going to take A.
I think, though, again, it goes back to, I always talk about Rachel and daddy issues, but it's like, it's like your dad's, this is going to get real dark, y'all, but it's like your dad says he's going to pick you up and take you to Skateland when you're 12, and you want to believe him even though you know he's not. Sorry if you're crying now at home.
Skateland?
I don't know, skating. That's what it was. We call it Skateland.
I'm sorry, Matt.
Yeah, I just brought it down. No, my dad didn't do that to me. I'm good. But... Sorry, my dad, I love my dad, we're great. It doesn't matter. But I do think, though, that, like, I think she wanted to believe that, because honestly, I thought Rachel, when she gave him everything, I thought she did give him everything, and that kind of broke my heart, because they did such a good job, again, in 3 or 4 episodes ago, where we kind of got the backstory of Rachel, and we saw, like, she was thought of just a number, and she thought that was gone, and then she sees when the eye and everything, that she is just a number. And so, to me, like, she does want to be free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she really did, like, love him, oddly enough. And
Yeah,
which is, I don't even like saying it. It felt weird coming out of my mouth.
No, but at the same time,
she
they
said that.
deserve each other.
She
They're so
said, though,
despicable.
she said something like, he's not the right one, but he's the one, or something.
Yeah,
whatever,
like he's
you
the
tell me,
only
Jeff.
one who's ever really loved me, and it's just like that's just like
And
God,
the whole
that's-
the whole daddy thing.
Yeah.
And,
I'm telling you, yeah.
that is
Daddy
daddy
issues.
issues
Forgot about
101.
that.
Yeah. I mean, it's true, and I think that's what the writers were exactly, it was in our face. Like, she has daddy issues. She doesn't know who's her daddy. PT? No.
Betrayal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Dr. Leakey.
Yeah.
So everyone's kind of let her down, and this was her chance to take control. But I do think that last week with the whole eye thing, that was her, like, turning moment.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, she's really going to be trusting Mrs. S right now. is, you know, my question. And she's always had so much hatred towards Mrs. S and Sarah, and I think it does come from jealousy.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's jealousy. It's a jealousy because like
true.
she's got a bond. Because Sarah has a
that.
bond with somebody, whereas Rachel has a bond with nobody.
Yeah.
Other than I guess
Wow.
Despicable
Yeah.
Ferdinand.
Sorry, I just hope if she stays alive during this. I hope she becomes a lesbian. Just forget about him, Rachel. You're fine.
Oh, gross. I just
do-
thought of something really weird. Oh, I'm going to say it. Okay.
Oh God, go there.
Oh God, Sam.
I mean, you know, if she's going to turn lesbian, there's Cosima. Like, how messed up would that be?
Okay.
No, Cosima's got Delphine, and Delphine's hot. No,
Yeah.
no.
Well, you know, a fan fiction there, guys.
Yeah,
Take
there you
it
go.
away.
Someone's writing the creepiest
Now that's some
fanfiction right
Oklahoma
now.
stuff right there.
That's stuff that you see in Pornhub or something.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
having sex with your own clone. I mean, you know, what are you going to do? That's a...
Wow.
That's a
Yeah, I took it there. Sorry, guys.
Again, I've been on dates with guys who probably wanted to do that. They were so into themselves.
Yeah, it's called narcissism.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, so what was cool about this for me, I'm excited where this is going in that, because it felt like an ending, because for 5 seasons now, they've been like, you know, it's dyad, it's Neolution, like, they're like, we'll see how it plays out, but they're basically, we're saying like, they all kept saying, like, it's done, it's over,
Yeah.
it's public, like the scene where Cosima presses
Oh,
the button,
I loved
and
it.
I know, I was like, give her an Emmy again.
I cried. I cried.
She was,
So
it was
good.
so good, but you felt this finality, you felt closure, and so, again, this is what I love about this show, is that they instead of taking the normal progression, now we're kind of on like this like new kind of adventure for 2 episodes that I don't know if Neolution, you know, is going to be done, or I feel like it's done though now, right? Did y'all get that?
Yes and no. I think something will be done when they all, like, died. If they all died, that scene with the board members, you know, if all of them were just dead and Ferdinand killed them, I would say yes. I would. That's the finality that I need. But they're still, because they said, you know, this isn't over when Ferdinand was in there.
Yeah, because even though that information's going to be out there now, there's still going to be some fight left in them. And I
Yeah.
don't know how, if it is going to be Sam's premonition of just bombing everyone. Or
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Just boom.
But back to Mrs. S and Rachel, there was a scene that I want to talk about that I thought was really interesting, just in that the nature versus nurture conversation, which I think is just bringing it back to season 1. And I don't think it was ever explicitly said in season 1, but it's kind of what everyone, you know, all these different women that are exactly the same, they're replicas of themselves for all intents and purposes, you know, they should be the same person, but the way they were raised, where they grew up, they're all different people. And Rachel didn't get that unique life, whatever it is. And so
She grew up in a freaking laboratory.
yeah. And Mrs. S was definitely, you know, Mrs. S was almost welcoming her to the family. You know, this is what we do for each other.
Did she say that to her, like, an episode? She's like, this is your... She said something.
Yeah, like something that they were giving her, like
Yeah,
something, and in the past couple episodes, really, I think you mentioned it last week. Sam, was the moment where she just mouthed "thank you" to Rachel,
right.
and like those
The one
little
elevator
things,
tour.
and then again, it's like they give you those moments, and then they tear them away from you.
Yeah, and I mean the conversation Rachel and Mrs. S had when Ferdinand, they find out they didn't kill him, and he's out loose, and he knows Mrs. S has that information, and she warns her, and that it was so final. I mean, that for me, I was like, yep, she's dead. She's so dead right now, because Rachel said everything but like goodbye forever.
She did
Yeah.
say, though, the way she said goodbye, Siobhan, I was like...
Yeah.
Which kind of pisses me off. So don't you guys think that... So everyone's so smart and sneaky. Couldn't they have had somebody waiting outside of where Ferdinand was with the board, just making sure he didn't get out of there?
Yeah.
And if he did, you know, you capture him. I don't know if they would have killed
Yeah, but he's
him.
a sneaky bastard himself, so...
That's
I
also
know.
probably why they only had Mrs. S and like Delphine. Like Delphine wouldn't be the person. It's Mrs. S. She's the one that's kind of the physical badass of the show.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have had to have been her that would have taken him down.
Yeah, and again, we touched upon that letter that she was writing, or it was a letter, right?
I would assume so. I feel like it's going to be some sort of like farewell letter / instruction
Yes.
on what she thinks is coming next and what they need to do, like kind of game plan.
Yeah, because I think she knew at the end of the day too, this was a huge risk Mrs. S was taking, and that there was a very good chance that she wouldn't make it out alive.
Yeah.
And then there was that scene that was really cool with Mrs. S and Ferdinand, you know, the last scene. And again, don't leave your doors unlocked. I mean, I'm sure he broke in, but still nonetheless, you know, just he's just there. And she knew that she was coming home to a gun to be pointed in her face. Like, she just walked into the fire with, like a badass. I mean...
It's true. I was kind of wanting a fight. I was wanting, like, a last Mrs. S kick-ass fight. But then the way they did it...
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's a great. It's kind of like when you're watching like the westerns and it's the duel. Like, you know, you got the good guy on one side, the bad guy on the other side, and they're just drawing and.
Well, I do like that she outlasted him too, just so that she could see him die before she died. I was like, there's something at least about that I'm just like, that's
even
good,
when
I
she
guess.
said, again, going back to the show about how this show is so much about
Women.
when she said like statistically
Like 14 minutes or like 14%.
14%,
better to like
and I
live.
just was like, till the end, yes, yes.
And she's like, maybe not this time, but, you know, there is a world that I could live this. And he was just bleating out so fast. He was got her. And, you know, there's a moment, not a very...
He's a great actor, though. I've seen him in a lot of other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He's great.
And he always plays the bad guy, which is
he's
really,
so good at
really
being-
fun.
Yeah, he was on an NBC
True Blood.
show. He was on True Blood, and I can't. Maybe they can tell us in the chat. It was called like not the Shadow. It was like a 1-season superhero thing, and I loved it. It got canceled. It was on NBC. It was like 7 years ago.
Yeah, let us know in the comments in the chat if you guys remember that show. And, you know, there's such a sad moment that part of her plan before she shot him, she goes, give me the picture of Felix and Sarah so I can hold it. Which is true, because at the end of the day, she did hold that photo as she was dying.
Yeah.
But it was to distract him. And the thing is he gave it to her. Which is always interesting to see humanity a little bit in someone.
Oh, I don't think he wanted to see humanity. I think he knew that would be painful for her.
Well, I thought that's what she wanted. I don't know. I thought that's what she wanted.
I think she wanted that. She wanted to distract, but I think from Ferdinand's perspective, he's like, look, we saw Ferdinand with Rachel, who he does love in a weird way.
Yeah.
And I actually was wondering if he was going to kill her, like if they were going to do that.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
when he was choking her.
Yeah.
So this is like the only person he loves himself. So I yes, I'm glad that she did it, but I think Ferdinand is one of those wanted to kill her and watch her die, looking at her two things she's going to leave. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And, you know, like you
I'm
said...
just bringing it down this episode.
No, you're right. I mean, this episode was up and down. And a lot, you know, it was very down. And the way Mrs. S went out, though, like we said, he had blood all over him. It wasn't pretty, but her, she looked amazing.
Yeah, she did.
Right.
It was that red lipstick. I'm telling you, her lipstick was on point.
Till the last second.
And she just, you know, it was kind of a clean, like...
Yeah, a little...
Yeah,
Nice little bullet
if you're gonna go out, you know, I mean, you gotta look like Mrs. S, you know, and she's a fighter, and she sacrificed herself because at the end of the day, if she would have died and not killed Ferdinand, that would have been such a sad, terrible waste.
Yeah.
But she made sure in her last seconds, like, she protected her girls, she protected her people, and even though that she's gone, that killing, I mean. She's dying. God, how do you manipulate someone and shoot them like just perfectly as you yourself are dying? I mean, she's such a badass.
She really is.
Yeah.
Down to the last second, and then when she just said chickens
Oh God!
at the end, I was just like, no.
Chickens.
I know. I was
Yeah, the
like,
photograph. And...
I know. I am glad that. I am glad too. The art show. It would have killed me more if Sarah and Mrs. S had like gotten into a fight and like really had a row about that.
Yeah.
That would. I'm glad they didn't do that. So it's not this. At least she had like her and Felix both. I think. I mean, they felt the love before.
and I feel like one of the reasons Mrs. S wanted Felix to have this art show so badly, because it was a stupid idea considering everything that's going on to make this big public thing, but in a way I think she wanted to see him succeed. She wanted to, I think she knew, because again, the letter she might or might not have written, like, she wanted to see Felix do what he was meant to do and succeed, and like that, you know, is why she pushed it. I also thought it was really interesting that as we're seeing her die, Sarah is all of a sudden we cut to back to Felix's art show, and she's like, "Where's S?" You know,
almost like a Kira moment of just like she can just feel that something's not right all of a sudden.
Exactly. On that note, guys, let's get into some predictions for next week.
There we go.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
So this is our second to last prediction.
Yep.
Only doing it. Oh.
Who wants to start us off, Matt? You have a lot of feelings.
I mean, again, I've said I think.
Oh no, dude! Mrs. S already died, man. So
I know. I think one of the clones is going to die. I do think that. I think.
Which one?
You know, they could. The beauty of this show is anyone would be heartbreaking. Like I could see them doing with Helena, but then also too like. The way they could also be very heartbreaking. They could do it with like somebody like Allison. I mean, that would be heartbreaking to see, like, because you always think of Allison and Donnie, you know.
Yeah.
And it depends on, you know, it's like, as a viewer, I don't like it, but as someone who has written stuff, I kind of like, sometimes I kind of like to go for the guttural. Just a little bit, so I don't know, I'm scared.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. What about you, Amy?
So, I don't know if we've, this could be off, but Cal has not been.
He's so hot. I want to see him.
I just want to see him back anyways.
Yeah.
But he hasn't been talked about for a long time, and I think it's weird.
And he's not on Game of Thrones at all this season.
Yeah, so like,
he has time.
Where's he
He
been?
has time to show his ass. His ass is really cute on Game of Thrones.
He just needs Khaleesi to come in and be like, take your clothes.
No, but I wondered that. I wonder if Mrs. S was writing about that or something.
So here's the thing: they talked so much about money laundering and like them following the paper trail and stuff in this one. He did a lot of that. He was very like hunting like larger corporation kind of stuff. So I'm like, we haven't seen him in a long time, and he's good at this stuff. So
Michael
like,
Easton, yeah.
what is he doing?
And they're showing on this show that nothing is wasted.
Yes.
They use
so
all of the buffalo.
I feel like he's
to
gonna
speak.
come back and not be on the good side of things.
Oh,
In the last
I
two
don't-
episodes, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you, Rick?
I'm gonna double down. I won't be here next week, so I'm gonna double down. And the way that I'm gonna look at it is, I think there's two things that could possibly happen. Is we could see, if we're gonna see a clone death, I'm gonna get a little crazy. Helena, they have a celebration. Like they come back, they get Helena to have a celebration. You see Helena have the kids.
She needs to have the kids.
She has the kids, but she dies in childbirth. Or
that would be
some
very
version,
ironic,
or some
like-
version of that.
Like that's what
Like
killed her.
she's happy to see the kids, but then she dies. But
You
like,
could think of
if we're
Helena
gonna see a
getting
clone
died
death,
of like climbing down a mountain shooting people, but
Yeah.
it's just from childbirth, not just childbirth.
and that's a crazy one, but that's what I'm gonna go with.
All right, Sam.
All right.
Okay, so I hate this prediction. But I'm saying it because if I'm right, like, I'll just get a little, you know, you guys will pat me on the back.
I'll steal it if you're right.
Yeah, right.
This story for us began with Sarah, and it could end with Sarah's death. And, you know, it kind of it coming full circle in this
Sarah brought
way.
them all together.
Yeah.
She would leave them
And there's
together
someone to
as a
take care of
family.
Kira.
Helena. I mean, that's terrifying. Like, it's so
Allison-
sad.
She's got brothers and sisters. She's
Allison,
gonna have
Helena.
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll have.
Donnie,
I'm
Scott,
also though I'm very very worried about Felix and Donnie. I don't know which one specifically, but I am nervous both of them will not make it out. One of them I think might go.
Wait,
It could even be instead of a clone death, like a Felix or a
Yeah.
Donnie death. Or
Wait, no, if we're talking about clone death, how about Mark?
Well, yeah,
Mark
I mean
could
I
die,
don't
but
even
also
care
I-
about Mark.
Honestly,
Get
I could.
But he's a clone. I mean,
If we're going full circle too, I could see Art dying. You know, he was kind of
Ooh.
with Beth from the first. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
And that would be.
yeah, but I don't think his death would impact that much.
I would be devastated.
I think it would be the
Yes.
fact that, like, again, that's what is that we haven't seen a lot of Art and Sarah together, but you forget that is all what season 1 was.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in. One more time, where can everyone find you guys on social media?
You can find me at Amy Maestri.
and you can find me at the Matt Marr, 2 T's, 2 R's.
And I'm Rick Hong. You can find me on all social media.
And you guys can find me, Sam Davidson, at samdavidsonentertainment.com, Twitter and Instagram at samd43. Please, these are the last 2 episodes. We want to see a ton of comments. We want to see a ton of tweets, because we'll start shouting them out in the last couple episodes. Like, we will tweet us with your theories. We will have a whole section over the next 2 episodes where we hear your theories. So just continue to do that. We love you. We love this show. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Later, guys.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Babies.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.